Hello and welcome back to the final word here on Talking Wolves. We're here following the game against West Bromwich Albion, the 3-2 defeat to Albion. I'm going to be here alongside some guests again. The first one went very well. The support on the channel over the last week or so has gone very well as well. So we're going to have a number of guests on today, probably 4 or 5 people across the next hour or so, discussing what has happened today, looking possibly at Nuno's job security, because I know we've got a number of people on here. Some are Nuno in, some are Nuno out. Maybe today's result has changed that. And of course, get involved in the comment section as well, because we can flag up your comments and get talking in the stream. Our first guest today is Talking Wolves' very own Mr. Matt Cooper. Matt, how you keeping, mate?
Yeah, how are you?
Yeah, I'm all right, thank you. I'm all right, mate.
Yeah.
Look, today, not an ideal result. A game, a Black Country derby against the Albion, and it was a bit like a roller coaster, but one that went very badly in the end. What are your takes from that game?
We waited 9 years for this day, and living in West Brom myself, like when they come up before, we're gonna take the mick with these because they're not a very good team at all. And as that day has come closer and closer, I've become less and less confident in beating West Brom. And all up to the lead up to this game, I've got a lot of mates who are Albion fans, and they were like, "You're gonna trounce us." And I don't think we will. Like, I can see you beating us. And half of that was I'm getting my excuses in early. Half of that was I genuinely do believe we're going to lose the game, and that's exactly what happened. But it was just it was just a car crash. And when you've got players like, and I'm going to single players out because I think it needs to happen. You got players like Connor Cody this week saying, "I know how much the derby means," and then he throws in a performance like that. Like today is. And this is going to get cut up by Albion fans. It's going to be like they're going to love
it. They haven't got many fans on social media anyway.
Like today, it has killed me, mate. Like, I've been so upset all day. Like, I've had to sit and watch the game. My mum, who's an Albion fan, she's jumping around the room. And I'm thinking, one more move out of you, we're going to fall out. It's been horrendous, and I've tried. As some people are aware, I've stayed away from social, stayed away from the video stuff. We're Talking Wolves and stuff because I've been struggling as of late. And football has always been a release for me, and as with many fans, I know it is with you, Dave. And at the minute, I could take or leave watching Wolves, and I should not be saying that with the calibre of players we've got at the club. But today was just unacceptable. It came down to who wanted it more, and West Brom wanted it more today, and they won the game.
Well, you saw that in the second half, especially some of the tackles and blocks they were making. Kyle Bartley, Jake Livermore, the reactions of some of their players and the passion they were showing every time that, they won the ball or tackled. There was just none of that from Wolves today. And I think I said it in the reaction as well. We just don't have the energy or players that are able to drag us through at the moment, like Raul Jimenez used to do. We could be dreadful for 85 minutes, but Jimenez would always come up with that special moment. And there's no secret that we've struggled without him. We just haven't got that urgency or talent in the squad at the moment, have we?
I don't think the Jimenez fit. Of course, losing Raul, he's 30 goals a season. Like, it's a massive blow. But I don't think Silva's. I know he hasn't got the goals, but I thought Silva was the only player today. I thought, you know what, lad, you've done well there. You've battled with the two big centre halves. You've got yourself a goal, which was like typical poaching striker. Like, it's fantastic to get a goal. Perhaps could have got another one, but he was the only one today. I thought, you know what, you've done me proud there, son. And I'm glad he got that goal, because people jumping on his back is just inexcusable. But I think the Jimenez thing is a massive blow. But for me, we were really poor when Jimenez was starting. It's been poor for a long, long time. It's carried on from last season. I think the transitional excuse is a load of bollocks. But look at we had Johnny out today, we had Marcel out today, we had Podence out today, we had Jimenez out today. 3 key players. Albion had 5 or 6. Like, everyone's going through it. No team have got fans. It's not an excuse. It really isn't, and it all comes down to poor recruitment. And you and I both said, Dave, like, one of these windows is going to bite us on the arse really bad, and I'm afraid it has.
Yeah. I mean, I've said it at the start of the intro. There's going to be some fans on today that are Nuno in, some fans that are going to be Nuno out. I think you've made your sort of voice pretty clear over the last couple of weeks, and especially on the fans react today. But Matt, if Nuno was genuinely to walk today, who is there out there that you would be happy to see come in and have a couple of weeks with maybe, I don't know, Fosu say, look, here's 30 million, try and do what you can to improve our league position?
I know I said today, like, he needs to go, and I do think he needs to. I think Nuno is a fantastic manager, and regardless of what's happening now, I don't think that makes him a bad manager. Like, he's taken us from the Championship, and you and I both agree with this, mate. Like, we've had some of the most magical moments following Wolves that you could never dream of. I mean, we've taken Talking Wolves on the road twice. Like, we've had some of the best times ever. He's taken us to Europe, but over the past year, we've got worse and worse and worse. And as all good things do come to an end, and I think we're at that point. Like, I love the bloke to bits. I think he's done wonders for this club, but I think now he needs someone to take it onto that next level. I feel like he's been shafted a little bit by the board. But yeah, it's, for me, in an ideal world, I would take Jesse March from Red Bull Salzburg. They play a terrific brand of football. You may think, why would he want to come to Wolves? It's a fair comment. They play a terrific brand of football. He's an American coach, plays similar to our Southampton, play with the 4-2-2-2. 4-2-2-2, yeah, it's doing me maths. That's all right. Players. We've got 14 players on the pitch. No wonder they're doing well. I think he's a Mendes client too. I'd really like to see him in. I know Dave lambasted me for this before, but even AVB at the end of the season, I'd take. I really do. He hates that show. I really do like him, but I think from today you can see that Nuno doesn't want to be here. Like, he's away from home, and people are saying he may be struggling mentally, and I completely. I understand that he's away from his family, but if that is the case, then some things are more important in football. Your mental health and your family. If that is the case, and you need to go. Like, you do need to go. And like I said, I've loved him. I've absolutely adored the bloke. He's done wonders. But I think now 2 wins in 30. It's 2 wins in 13.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
I think it is time for a freshen up today on the sideline with 3-2 down to local rivals who are rubbish. They are rubbish. They know they are. We know they are. And he's just sat in the dugout, like, keeping himself warm. You can the post-match interviews. It's the same old nonsense that he keeps repeating. Like, he doesn't want to be here. He does not want to be here. It's time for someone else to come in and step up. Nuno, I love you to pieces, mate. Absolutely adore you for what you've done. But like I said, good things do come to an end, and I think we're at that point.
Well, Matt Pav earlier on, he put some of these managers that are out without a club at the moment. Ralph Ragnick, Jardim, Fabregas, Spalletti, Marcelino, Valverde, Sarri, Tuchel, Allegri. I mean, I think he's admitted it himself. Some of these are way too unrealistic. But out of those, I don't think... there's some pretty high-profile ones there, but I don't know. Listen, Matt... If he stays, obviously he's going to be in charge for the Chorley game if that's the case. The week after, when we're back in league action, what does Nuno have to do to get Wolves back to winning ways? Nuno out here has said Nuno in, just go back to basics. But yeah, go back to what we know, the tried and trusted, the 5 at the back, or what?
This is what I didn't get today, and it just screams like I've run out of ideas. He said, like, we need to go back to basics. We need to build from the back. We need to keep clean sheets. You've got a chance of winning the game. And we've always said, no matter if you agree with the philosophy or not, or how Nuno plays, we've always had this identity of being strong and regimented and solid at the back. We looked pathetic at the back today. Cody that's the worst of it I've seen him play. There's a comment there, Matty's poison, I have to agree. I think we do need to go back to the 5 at the back, but he said this week you need to keep clean sheets and stuff, and he went to a 4, which... it doesn't work with Cody, and you knew how West Brom were going to play. So put another big man in there. Play Kilman. I think he would have dealt with it better today. But I don't know. Martin's.
I understand obviously Kilman's been in and out of the squad recently, and he's not been horrific. And at the moment, he can't sort of get that look in at the moment. So, it's definitely going to be interesting. Look, mate, we're going to move on now, mate. It's been a pleasure having you back on as always. And it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next couple of days.
I'll see you back on the channel when it's all blown over. All right.
Nice one, man. Enjoy the rest of your evening, man.
All right, mate. Take care, fella. Bye-bye.
Well, guys, thank you for the comments so far. Like I said, we're gonna be having lots of people that are Nuno in and Nuno out. Look, it's all about opinion. If you ever want to jump on this, then do let us know. Obviously at Talking Wolves on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and all sorts. Move on to our next guest now. We've got Tom Rouse back on the streams. Tom, how you keeping, man?
Terrible, thank you.
Oh. I mean, I'd assume you didn't enjoy this afternoon's game, did you?
No, but it didn't come as a surprise. As when we spoke on Wednesday, I think I was pretty clear in that I wasn't confident going into this game, but I didn't think that we'd lose in the manner that we did. As Matt's just said, we were pathetic. The problems have been highlighted for the last couple of weeks, but nobody's been talking about the defence really. And that is, I mean, to lose a game on 2 penalties and a long throw, you wouldn't expect that of any professional team, let alone a Premier League team, and supposedly a team going for, Europe. That's at the beginning of the season. That would have been the goal, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, Nuno's on about, not conceding goals. All 3 of those come on, not from open play, but still that throwing one, like you say, is stupid. And both penalties are probably stupid errors, tackles that didn't really need to be made either.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't personally think the first one was in the box. I thought that the contact was made outside the box, but I mean, the line belongs to the attacker apparently, and that's the way that it was seen. The second penalty, I thought it was very similar, in terms of the timing in the game to the Brighton one by, our leader, our captain, to just give the Albion attacker the opportunity to go down. He should be more experienced to not be putting himself in a situation where, the Albion player had got it past him and thought, I'll leave my legs in here and I've won a penalty. It was just poor leadership. I mean, I'm going to argue with some of the things that Matt said just now, but I don't think it's Nuno that was the problem today. It was the leadership team within the team. So you look at the 3 players that got hooked off, they were our leaders, and they were all appalling today. Every single one of them, they can't hold their heads up high. Cody's comments before the game look embarrassing now. He should know, coming from Liverpool, what derbies mean. But I think it's just, it's emphasised how poor a player he is. We haven't brought in a centre-back for years, a good one. We tried to bring in Vallejo last summer to challenge for that one of those spaces. It just hasn't happened. I personally, Dendoncker, to me, needs to go back there. He's not scoring goals. He's getting himself in these positions where, and they're saying, he's playing just off the striker, but he's never going to score a goal. So get him back, he's a good ball player. Him alongside Bolly, I think probably as a short-term fix, our strongest centre-back pairing at the minute. And then Moutinho's best days are behind him, unfortunately. He's been one of the best Wolves players I've ever seen. But this season, gradually, we've seen him make more and more errors, not having the impact on games that he did before. I always reference that Man United quarter-final where we were under a lot of pressure and he was edging the ball out and just really leading from the front. He doesn't do that anymore. And Neves, I think, just had a really poor game today. He's been very good recently, but he just had an off day. I mean, the way that he went up to challenge for that 3rd goal was not what you'd expect from, one of your captains on the pitch.
Well, I think all 3 goals were led by poor defending by us anyway. The first goal from the penalty, we just couldn't get rid of the ball whatsoever, just very sloppy. Second goal, the same. Then we eventually hoofed it out for the throw-in. And the 3rd goal, again, the same as well. There were I agree. I thought Neves was extremely poor today. Like you're saying, Dendoncker back to the defence. What with him and Bolly as 2 centre-backs, or revert to that back 5?
I mean, I don't know at the minute. I mean, I've sort of ended up with egg on my face recently. It's been banging the drum for 4 at the back for so long, but we just haven't got the players to do it. You need to have really good, strong centre-backs. Like I said on Wednesday night, we haven't got one of those defenders who can come and clear the ball out. I think Dendoncker and Bolly are probably our best 2 at doing that. Sace and Cody at the moment look like a rich tea biscuit at the back. We need something that's, like a hobnob, something a bit more sturdier.
I like that. In terms of individual performances, I think Matt spoke a little bit about Fabio Silva. What did you think about him today? Especially first half, I thought he was good, wasn't he?
Yeah, I was really pleased for him for the way he took his goal. It seemed to take an age to cross the line, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was really, really pleased. And like we said the other day, if he scores a goal, then his confidence will lift. And we saw that then in the second half. He had a couple of shots where I don't think he would have taken them a couple of weeks ago. So that was a positive. And I think he will start to now grow into that role a little bit more. It does worry me though now, because he scored. Is it likely that Jeff Shee's going to say, well, look, he's scoring now, so you don't need another striker? Catrone, again, only having 2 or 3 minutes at the end.
Oh, he missed a great chance, didn't he?
He did have a good... I mean, at the time I said it was a sitter. In hindsight, it was a lot harder, how high the ball went, how, the technique he needed to get... You need to get it absolutely perfect to get it in. And when you're not playing and you're not in form, it's one of those that doesn't go in. But perhaps Catrone. I would start Catrone on Friday against Chorley. Just give him 90 minutes. If he doesn't score against Chorley, then we desperately need a striker.
Yeah, I think I said it on the last stream. It will be interesting, and now the whole COVID thing is heating up again with certain borders closing at Portugal. Our transfer window's over. Yeah. But look. Do you think this result today screams at Fosun? They need to dip. They need to buy at least something, try and raise the spirits, try and get something back into this squad, because it's just looking a bit stale at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I remember saying, I can't remember what I said it on, but at the beginning of the season, I sort of pointed out that Wolves had, I think it must have been on 77 Club, but Wolves had Nuno for 3 years, and we often see that's as much as managers have. They have 3 years. If they're a good manager, and then you either change the manager or there's wholesale changes in the squad. We didn't get rid of the manager, and we didn't really see wholesale changes in the squad. We got rid of 2, first team starters from last season and didn't replace them with good enough quality. On paper, Semedo should be as good as Doherty, but he's not. And Fabio Silva is something, or Fabio Silva will grow into eventually a player who could. Be better than Jota. But it's been years now where the recruitment's been poor. I think 2018 summer transfer window was the last good transfer window. Because if you look at all of them since then, that winter transfer window, I think we just signed Johnny on a permanent. Then the summer we had that terrible with Catrone and Vallejo coming in. Then last January, nobody came in at all, I don't think. And then the summer was all these young players. I'm sorry, Podence came in last January, so he's the last good signing. But you look at the players that have gone out. We haven't replaced them. We haven't freshened them up. They're all, they were very, very good in the Championship, and they rode that crest of a wave for a couple of years. But now, the likes of Cody, I've been saying for a long time, needs to be replaced. And also, if you're going to get any money for him, you've got to cash in pretty soon, because people are going to really, really realise he's hopeless. If Liverpool is so desperate for a centre-back, let him go for it. If they're willing to pay between 8 and 10 million for him, I'd snap their hand off for that at the minute, because he's really poor in a back four in particular. Like Glenn Hoddle said as well about his playing on that left channel, he can't get the ball out like he did.
Yeah.
That's really, really clear, and perhaps that's one of the reasons why we haven't been able to adapt, because we're so used to that out ball, and we haven't got it anymore.
Yeah, and obviously we heard Matt was pretty vocal about he thinks it's time for Nuno to go. There were a lot of people on the Fans React saying the same thing. I know a lot of people have taken that quite personally, both on Twitter and already in the comments. What's your stance on it? You were very much firmly Nuno in on Wednesday. I'd assume you're the same now, even after this defeat, aren't you?
Yeah, of course. I think it's very, very short-sighted to say Nuno out, because yes, you can list all these fantastic managers who could come in. We've got half the season left to play, so it could still end up that we have a great season. We end up on 50 points, and it's we're not going to finish as high as previous seasons, but we might have a good rest of the season. We've got Podence coming back, Johnny's coming back. There's still 2 weeks left of the transfer window, so we could have a good rest of the season. I think it'd be really, really naive to just sack him because we've lost the Albion. That's really why everybody's furious today, and because the last time we lost the Albion, we sacked our manager, and then we got relegated to League One. So let's not make that rash mistake again. The form has been poor recently, but like everybody's been saying, a couple of decisions or a couple of goals that go our way, and we are as good as we were last season. The late goals against United and the throwing away against Brighton, if we take those out of it, I know that you can't, obviously, but we haven't been playing as badly as it would suggest in the form. I know that we're not entertaining, but we haven't changed in the way that we played. We played the same last season. We were pretty pragmatic, pretty boring to watch last season, but we were getting results. People have sussed us out. We've tried to adapt and we've tried to change. I think they said before the game as well, like it takes a couple of seasons to embed like a brand new system. And we've tried to do it mid-season, which I think was pretty foolish of Nuno to do. But he didn't have a pre-season, which we would have had 6 or 7 games to play for at the back against the likes of Cork and Bohemians and that lot.
It can't be pre-season, that is. It can't be pre-season.
Yeah, but he's had to do it against the likes of Man United or Albion in really high pressure situations with no crowd. And I mean, just to change the topic completely, I think that the build up to the game from Wolves was completely wrong. I think that they should have downplayed the derby situation as much as they possibly could, because the players are all Portuguese. They've played in derbies before. They understand that it's important, but don't hype it up as much as it is. We know it's important, but we also know what Nuno's like. If he'd have been very pragmatic and very calm and said, look, it's just another game, lads, go and play, I think we would have won today. But because there was all this extra pressure, Traore put on Instagram beforehand that it's a war, just go and play the game and we would have won today, I think.
Yeah. Well, Tom, thanks a lot for jumping on again. Always a pleasure to talk, mate. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll speak to you very soon, mate. Thank you.
Cheerio.
Well, big thanks to Tom again. Guys, get your comments coming in. Be sure to keep hitting that like and subscribe. Lots of comments, which is great to see. We have got another very strong Nuno out. Remember now, we've got Michael Bibb. Bibb, how's it going, mate?
Hello, Dave. How you doing, mate? You all right?
I'm well, mate. Look, I know some of the people watching may have seen your fans react. You've been beating the drum a couple of weeks. You're not too happy with the situation regarding Nuno. I mean, did that result today, is that pretty much made your mind up on that situation?
I'd 100% say that ultimately has made up my mind on there. Like, I think I said when it was Burnley, there was a lot of question marks regarding Nuno and, his tactical awareness on there. After a great result against Chelsea, it felt as though he went backwards a little bit on there as well. And it just seems as though like Nuno didn't seem to have a kind of like a clue what was going on really. And then since the Burnley game, it didn't seem like we improved. If anything, we went backwards. And then just the West Brom game for me is just kind of just confirmed pretty much what everyone else is saying on there as well. It's nice to see also people mention me as well in those little comments as well, to be fair. But
there you go.
But yeah, no, to be fair, like I wouldn't necessarily say like my aim was ultimately Nuno out, but I think based on the current form and the way that we're playing and the fact that it doesn't look like there's any improvement in sight, that's probably where I would say Nuno out. This can change obviously in the future, but at this moment in time, who knows, Dave? Who knows?
I mean, there's been some names mentioned in the chat, but if Nuno were to go tonight, who would you want to see him before the games against Chorley or the next league game? What sort of managers are out there, genuinely?
See, I knew you was going to ask this, and I haven't got a clear answer. To be quite honest with you, someone who just kind of knows how to attack on there, it seems though like at the moment in time we don't have... Our way of defending is just stick a load of bodies back and kind of just hope for the best, really, and not have like a defensive structure. But for me, just someone who can come in and just get the best out of the attacking players that we've got, which just seems to be the kind of problem at the moment. Like with all the attacking players we've got, it seems as though no one really knows kind of the best way to play them and the best system to have them all in. But like I said, hopefully Nuno can be the person that changes it round. I'm just really, really not confident on it.
Yeah, I mean, today's performance, there was ups and there was downs. I mean, giving away 2 fairly cheap penalties, even getting ourselves back in the lead. Look, let's try and talk about the positives a little bit from that game.
Yeah.
We saw Fabio Silva score and Willy Bolly as well get on the score sheet. What did you? I mean, Fabio Silva took his goal well. What did you think of his performance?
I thought he had a very, very good game. That was probably his best performance in a Wolves shirt. I felt as though his hold-up play was really good. He was bringing others into the game. I just felt as though ultimately he was just making that massive difference up front. I mean, a lot of people say, compare him to Jimenez. It's a completely different player and a completely different situation that he's put himself under. And today, he took his goal really, really well. He could have had more goals as well. He was getting in those right areas. He was making all the runs. we've all seen this. Like, everyone can see that he's got the potential to do something. It's just going to be a simple case, really, of can he get at it all together. Fabio Silva can be the man who can be the £35 million player that we're all talking about. It's just going to be a simple case of how long is he going to take for it to, all come together for the lad. Because, Dave, we've all seen he's got potential. It's just a case of just seeing it, really.
Yeah, there were some disappointing performances out there as well, Michael. Which players out there today really disposed you? I mean,
Christ,
look at this question already.
Nah. To be fair, I'd probably say Moutinho. He wasn't great. It just seems though like every time he loses his legs, he just commits silly fouls in the midfield, and I just felt it was very similar again today. The game was not set up for him. Cody was really, really poor. I still think it was really, really harsh just to sub him off the way that we done as well. By no means was he the worst player on the pitch. Certainly, he wasn't great. But I feel as though with the impact that he has on the pitch, especially, in regards to like the dressing room and the leader on the pitch, which is something that every team screams out for, I just think it was harsh to take him off. Was there anyone else? To be fair, there wasn't really that many bad performances. They were just below average, really. But if you're going to point out players, I'd say those two.
And if Nuno is going to be staying in his job, which to be fair, I would assume he is, because I think we would have heard something by now. But what has to change? Is it system? Is it personnel? What has to change for you for Wolves to start getting back to getting points really?
I think it's more down to like the midfield on there. I just think that we're lacking just a bit more bite in midfield, like bit of energy. A bit more energy in there. We've got Dendonker's energy on there as well, but Dendonker's energy leads to him running around all over the pitch. As soon as he gets in the box, he has to have at least 5 chances to put one away. But I'd say also the defence as well, like the amount of goals we've conceded, the fact we can't keep clean sheets at the moment. I think is it 1 in 10 or 12 maybe? Something like that. But we haven't kept a clean sheet since Crystal Palace. And for me, the defence is the big problem. When you don't play, in my opinion, I'd say proper defender like Roman Saiss in there, when we've got an adequate replacement in Kilman, I feel as though we kind of need to, improve the defence on there. Once we stop leaking in the goals, who knows what could happen. But for me, the main problem is if we sort out the defence, I'd probably say another attacker, but don't really want to ruin the development of Fabio Silva too much. But yeah, I'd probably say those 2 areas would be a major thing that we need to improve on.
What do you think about the situation surrounding Catrona? Obviously, he's brought back to give Silva a bit of competition. Do you think he's good enough to help Wolves continue the rest of the season? Or do you think Fosun have got to stick their hand in their pocket, like you say, a defender, but possibly another striker as well?
100%. I think that Catrona is a weird one because he was brought back on loan without being good enough for Fiorentina. If you're not good enough for Fiorentina, considering the type of team that they are, I just think it's a weird one. It's kind of like a panic sort of situation to think, let's bring back Catrona, see what he can do. But at the same time, I personally don't think Catrona is good enough. If he scores quite a lot of goals, who knows what could happen. But the fact he's been given, 10 minutes at the end of a game, that's not enough to judge a player properly. And the chances that he has had, he's never taken them. I just think it's more down to the case where Catrona will get those opportunities. You don't know if he's going to score them, but we haven't seen enough of Catrona to give a proper analysis on him. If you're going to recall him, then at least play him. There's no point sticking a guy that you've just recalled from a loan who wasn't playing to stick him on a bench where he's also not playing. It just doesn't make sense, really.
So do you expect him to get full 90 against Chorley? I mean, like you said, it's a must win. But you'd expect to win anyway, wouldn't you? As a Wolves fan?
Exactly. You'd expect to win against, the team where every Wolves fan was at in the 1980s. So, to be honest with you, it'd be. To be fair, it's kind of them where you have to win. There's no if, buts, and maybes about it. You have to win. And for me, I'd probably stick him on 90 minutes, see what he can do against part-time players. But I just think there's him that's also got to play. There's also quite a lot of players on there. Like, you probably stick a load of kids in there as well. Stick a load of kids, Catrona. It's like Villa away in the Cup a couple of years ago.
Well, that didn't end very well. So I do beat Chorley. Anyway, Michael, it's been a pleasure having you on, mate. We enjoy your
Thank you, Dave.
And I'm sure we'll chat to you very soon, mate. See you soon.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Yeah. So, guys, there was Michael. So we've had Matt, who was Nuno out. Tom, what was Nuno in? Michael, that was Nuno out. We move on to another Wolves fan, Dale, now. Dale, how you keeping, mate? You all right?
Hi, mate. You all right? Yeah, not too bad.
Good,
Had
good.
better days.
Yeah, exactly. Disappointing performance today, mate. What did you take from that game?
Not a lot really. I feel like if we're going to play a back four, Cody's done. I feel
Yeah.
like that's it. That was a massive, massive decision taking him off when we did today. That's going to affect his confidence. I mean, you saw his face when he come
He
off.
looked really upset, didn't he? Yeah.
He looked upset. He had a little mutter to himself, and then you saw him with John Ruddy, and he was saying something to John. I think that's going to affect him really bad, and I think the best thing to do is leave him out against Chorley. Give Kilman a chance with either Bolly or Sace. But the game in all, I mean, 1 minute I'm on the biggest low, next minute I'm on the biggest high, and then the next minute I'm on the biggest low again. And I'm sat in my living room, and I got my next door neighbour who's an Albion fan banging on the walls, cheering at me. And I was in the house on my own, so it was a bit of a lonely place.
Yeah, I mean, I even recorded my reactions for Finners. He does a video where he sort of puts all the celebrations together. So I'm not sure my celebrations when Wolves score will make the public YouTube. Who knows? But I mean, you reached out to me there. Obviously, you sort of there's concerning signs with Nuno, really, that you sort of are looking at the moment, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, I know it's a tough subject to talk about, but I've suffered in the past with mental health myself. I went for a spell a few years ago where I was in depression, affected me really bad. And the signs are there with Nuno that there's something not right mentally. I mean, look at the Bristol City game away when we had him cheering in the director's boxes, winding everybody up. To see him slumped back in his chair today with 20 minutes to go it felt like that was the end for me. And I know there's been talk about him missing his family and not seeing his family and all that. And I get that. I understand that. There was somebody put on Twitter, he's getting paid enough money, so he's got a job to do. No,
never an answer, though, is it? Yeah.
No, it's a bit of an ignorance answer. There's a lot more than money in life, and I clearly see that it's affecting him. His mental health, missing his family, the injuries. I can see no backing off Fosun as well. He was a few weeks ago saying we need to strengthen the squad, bring in more players. They've said to him, maybe there's no money available. Go out and get the players back that you've put on loan and deal with it until maybe the summer. Gibbs White, for me, no, he gives the ball away too much. And Crotone, he couldn't do it at Fiorentina. I don't think he started a game. I don't think he scored a goal. I know he's not getting enough time with Wolves at the minute, but when you've invested so heavily on Fabio Silva, you can't expect the board to say, okay, leave that £40 million player on the bench and let's play Catrone, the one who you're trying to desperately get rid of.
Yeah.
You know, and I know we've bought young players, so I feel like this season we just need to, just nip it in the bud, stay up, and then these young players are getting the experience every week and then kick on next season. But with next season in the summer, bringing some strength, bringing some Premier League experience. We haven't got none. You look through the squad, there is none. I mean, there's John Ruddy, and he's sat on the bench every week. There's nobody there. Like you see that with Albion. Albion have got nobody as well. Premier League experience. They've got all young kids. They've just brought in Snodgrass. We need somebody like that. Somebody who's a bit old, like Matinho, but somebody who's been there, done it. Look at when we was in the Championship and we brought in Dennis Irwin and Paulins. There you go. Just bring in two players of that calibre who are on the way out, need a few games, need a few minutes, come in, bring the squad together, show them what's needed to be done, and, stabilise this season and kick on again next season.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you said. Sort of late December, he's on about, that Wolves need to rebalance the squad, was his words. I think he kept saying we've got to rebalance the squad with the transfer window. And then the last 2 weeks, he said the solutions are within.
Exactly.
But he said that last 3 weeks, and it's pretty clear. I think the solutions aren't here, are they, at the moment?
Yeah, and I feel like that isn't him talking. I feel like he's gone to the board and said, listen, we need to strengthen. The solutions are not here. And they've said, no, you've got players out on loan, bring them back. Coronavirus, it's affecting the country, the world. The money's not there. Deal with what you got. keep us up and we'll kick on again next season. I think there's just too many people at the minute jumping on the bandwagon of out, not factoring in the manager's mental health, the lack of players that we've got, the injuries that we've got, and the fact it's a strange season in all. I mean, you look at the big teams. Look at Chelsea. 3 weeks ago, they were top of the league. They're 9th, 10th, now 8th, whatever they are. And I mean, our next 4 games, apart from the Cup, Chelsea, Palace, Arsenal, Leicester.
Tough games.
I mean, we haven't kept a clean sheet in 12. I can see it being 16 by the end of that. Even against Palace, who we seem to do really easy against. You can see a goal coming there with the way that we're playing, conceding there. I mean, if they're going to get rid of him, I would say he's got the next 4 games. And I mean, with 12 points available, you've got to be looking at getting at least 6. But then you think, okay, Palace is 3, but then you've got to get 3 out of Chelsea, Arsenal, Leicester. Chelsea, on the day they can be good, on the day they're bad. Arsenal, same with them. Yeah, it's just tough. And I'm not really a Nuno in or a Nuno out person at the minute. I'm a bit sitting on the fence
today, yeah.
And I know people hate to hear that, but I've got to see a bit longer. The slump in the chair for me was it today. I felt for him because I've been in that situation, and it literally felt like I give up, or like, what do I do? I need help. Even just seeing his family for a week would perk him up, or do something. I know it's unfortunate, and people will be saying, well, he should have brought his family here when he came and stuff, but you don't know what the behind the scenes are and why his family are not here with him.
Well, you say if anyone has a crap day at work and you go home, you've got most times you've got someone there that's going to be there for you, your family, your wife, your kids, to cheer him up. The fact that he's going home probably on his own to a house on his own and he's not seeing anyone, speaking to no one for the evening, like you say, that's going to build up on you. It's going to be difficult.
And I mean, I know you've got people say, well, he goes to work and there's 30, 40 people at the training ground. He's got all his staff with him. He can phone them, call them. It's not the same. In this climate, in a different country, it's not like his family are in a different part of this country. They're in a completely different country, and then you got to video chat them. You might be tired after the games. You're stressed, fed up. You can see the papers, see the media getting on, creating stories, getting on your back. The fans are not happy. It's all going to be playing on his mind. And he's a manager to me. When you look at that Bristol City game and that season, he was all in. And at the minute, he's not. There's something else there.
He thrives on the fans as well, though, doesn't he? He's made comments about that previously, but I think the fans really helped him. Even when we were rubbish the last couple of years, almost the fans could sometimes score us a goal with how we used to sort of cheer the team on as well.
And like when the fans sing his name, that must feel like, even when we were losing, we'd still sing his name. We'd still sing the songs to cheer the players on, to gee them up, to try and push for an extra goal or something. But it's not there, so there's nothing for him. He's just faced on his own. He's got staff around him, but the pressure's on him. He's got the fans, the media, the board. I mean, it'd be nice to hear from the board on what they think of the situation and what they're, what they think. But we can't get nothing. I mean, no signings. I can understand it with the climate, and I can understand you've just paid £40 million on a player, which is for the future, because they called him a centennial player or whatever it was they called. They expect to sell him for 200 million in 5 years' time or whatever it is. It was a step too far for me. I think we should have invested that money elsewhere. 2 or 3 players, bit of experience, a bit more quality, a bit more, how can I say, a bit more ready than Silva. They didn't expect what happened to Jimenez. That's why they paid for him. But you got him at the training ground learning off Jimenez. Jimenez is not there. Who's he learning off now as a striker? Yeah. He's got nobody. You got Catrone, who can't score a goal. He's got nobody there to say, oh, you need to be in this position, this position. You got the coaches, but like Steve Bull said, you can't coach it. It's a natural instinct. And if you've got players like Jimenez who are naturally in the right place at the right time, they can guide him. You know,
Yeah.
I'd even, as stupid as it sounds, I'd even bring Bully in and say, "Yeah, Bully, have a few weeks with him." You know,
Yeah.
it's just to do something different. You know, it all just seems stagnated at the minute, and his comments after the games, you know, they're the same every week. I just feel like he's got no answers.
Yeah.
I picked up on the press conference earlier after Joe Edwards finished his last question. He huffed and puffed when somebody else went to answer him a question. If you watch the press conference back, Joe Edwards finishes his question and somebody goes to answer him another question, and he huffs and puffs like he just wants to get out there, you know. And you can see it's just not the football; it's something else, and it's maybe the family situation, him being lonely and nobody to, you know, nobody to be there for him.
You've got that, and like you say, with the pressures with him at the moment, with not getting results, injuries, you know, it's all pressuring him. You know, for someone, you know, to have that much pressure on them at one time, it's difficult. And regardless of what you get paid or where you live or where you come from or whatever, it doesn't matter, does it? I mean, it can take its toll on anyone. Look, Dale, it's been fantastic to have you on, mate. Great comments, and hopefully we can get you back on soon because it was great to talk today, mate.
Cheers, mate. Appreciate
it. And I'll speak to you soon, mate. See you later.
Cheers, mate. Thanks a lot. All the best.
Cheers. You too, mate. Well, big thanks to Dale. Really enjoyed that one. Guys, keep it going. Fantastic support so far on the stream. Dale was fantastic. Look, we're going to move on to the next fan now. We've got Tom Parker. Tom, how you keeping, mate? Disastrous result today. You didn't seem too happy, and the fans react. What were your takes from that game?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to first of all start by saying that there's some really, really nice points brought up by Dale there. Really, really nice. I thought what he said about the mental health thing was completely on the point, really, which is what I said on my match review. I know some people might have heard what I said at first and thought that I was going to go into a rant about how he should leave, but if you'd have watched the full 5 minutes, you would have seen that I certainly blame Fosun a lot more for this than Nuno himself. I understand exactly what he's going through, to be honest. I think most of us has probably been through something similar this year, not being able to see friends and family, and especially if your family are in a different country. I can't really imagine how difficult it is. Yes, I am back.
Harry's back. There you go.
No glasses this time because I'm just a bit exhausted, to be honest.
I think everyone looks like they've been crying tonight. By the way, I think everyone's just tired, aren't they?
Yeah, no, I'm just exhausted. Yeah, it was a really, really, really poor performance, and it was really, really sad to see the camera panning to him for those last 10 minutes. I didn't even get annoyed looking at that. It just made me sad, to be honest, because seeing a manager that's so passionate and so full of energy, and he's always got a smile on his face, and he's always calm and composed and charming in press conferences and things like that. He's just not the same anymore. And I said this on the last. I said this last week on the final word. I said, before the transfer window, he was all, we need to rebalance the squad, and then in the last week or so, he's completely changed what he's said, and he's sort of gone back on it. And I think that's, as Dale said, that sort of says it all, really. There's just a real lack of communication at the moment, and I think that's the most frustrating thing. I don't think that he helps himself, particularly in the press conferences, when he keeps saying the same thing week after week. I think that's what's sort of grinding a few fans down. But yeah, I think speaking of the fans as well, I've seen a lot of things on Twitter of fans arguing amongst each other. I've
got to say, by the way, it's not been as bad as I thought it was. I think everyone's had the same idea to sort of stay off Twitter and social media.
Yeah.
Saying that, I've not checked out Dingle's AWE yet. So
oh god, no, I think one of the themes that I've seen is probably it's become very the older fans versus the younger fans over the past few weeks, and I think
it's always the case, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, but I think it's important to just sort of take a step back and think, we all support the same club at the end of the day, and I think that older fans may be turning on younger fans, and vice versa as well. I'll make a few jokes about Chorley away and that sort of stuff, but it's all in jest, But I do feel as though there is a bit of animosity between those two sort of camps at times. So, I would just say to, fans, at least, if you disagree, but don't bring sort of age into it. I've seen quite a few people band age about as maybe one of the reasons, but And it's just a bit of a bugbear of mine. Being a young lad myself, I'm only 20, but I've supported the club for 10 years, so I'm not completely clueless. So yeah, just one of those. It was just one of those things. It was sort of getting. I
mean, so many fans.
frustrating.
I can even see it in the comments. Look, I'll class it as debate. There's a lot of debate in the comments. Look, Tom, going back to the game today, 2 soft penalties given. We haven't really spoken much about the first one. What were your thoughts on that one?
Well, I tweeted it out saying the league is a disgrace. I still stand by it. I thought it was a ridiculous decision. It was poor from Bolly. I think he should know better at this point, considering he's been playing in the Premier League for a few seasons now. I think he should know better than to stick a foot out in that situation. Having said that, I don't know how they can check that decision on VAR and still give a penalty.
That quick as well. They didn't really check it.
Yeah, they didn't really check it. If you'd have checked it a couple of times a bit closer in, you would have seen that his foot was on the line where the contact was made. But I have to say that despite that, we can't really make any excuses, particularly for some of the defensive positioning during this game. The fullbacks were so high. And when we were caught out of possession, I realised that the gap between Conor Cody and Willy Bolly was just huge. I've mentioned it a few times, but there was one point in the first half where West Brom had the ball, got the ball back in transition, and Willy Bolly was on the edge of our box, and Conor Cody was near the touchline. And you're talking about our 2 centre halves there, so you could easily fit 2 strikers, 2 attackers in that gap. All of a sudden, our inside channel is completely exposed. We've got no one there to defend it, and I think that's the problem with the 4 at the back. I think that we probably should revert back to a 5, because then at least our right and left inside channels are much better protected, because at the moment we're just so exposed when the fullbacks lose possession, or when we lose possession and the fullbacks are too high up.
Yeah, a lot of people have been speaking about going back to a back 5. I think maybe for the next league game, I'm not going to say for Chorley, but I think for the next league game, we probably should possibly look at that. We looked, a lot of people talking about the Gibbs handball. Look, I cannot understand for the life of me how that is not a penalty, by the way, because the bloke has touched it, not with one hand, with 2 hands, and nearly caught it. I know a lot of West Brom fans have commented saying, yeah, but they played on because of the obstruction on Button. If it was an advantage, if it was a foul, an advantage, you would stop the game when someone handballs that there. I don't understand that at all. That has got to be a penalty, regardless of the rules. And for me, that isn't a natural position, having my hands out there like that. That's not a natural position.
Exactly. And there was one given literally at the start of the second half against Fabio Silva where the ball bounced off his leg and hit his arm, which was outstretched, and they gave that as a free kick. Now, for me, that's less intentional than the Gibbs one. Not to say that Gibbs obviously was intentional, but you can see that it really just confuses me as to how they can give that but not give the Gibbs one. But, we can talk all about decisions, but being 2-1 up at half-time, all the Wolves fans were saying was, don't do the same thing against Brighton. Just see it out, get an extra goal maybe, see the game out. But the theme of this season has just been really poor game management.
Yeah.
And, Tim Spears said it on the Molineux mix. Nuno's game management has never been his strong point necessarily. We can think back to the Watford game in the FA Cup semi-final. Sorry about that. The FA Cup semi-final, which was probably some of the worst showing of game management we've seen in terms of the tactical changes and the whole game capitulating. So we have seen it quite a few times, but like John has said, Conor Cody should not be playing in the back 4. He was absolutely awful today. He's just so positionally unaware sometimes. He's just too slow. I know Rio Ferdinand picked up on his lack of communication. I don't know why they picked up on that, considering that's probably the only thing I would have him in the team for. But, in a back 5, he's fine. Genuinely, but I've never rated him as a very good defender. I've thought he's a brilliant captain, and you have to have him in there for the leadership and the organisation that he brings. But he's not that good of a defender. And when we moved into a back 4, I was a little bit worried, because I was like, is he going to get exposed? And he's had a few good games there, don't get me wrong. He has proved me wrong on occasions, but it's on occasions. He hasn't consistently proved me wrong. In fact, he's probably consistently proved most of us right. I've seen a few people saying Bolly and Kilman. I think that's a perfectly good shout.
I think he did all right against Southampton. That was the first time he played a back 4. There was a couple of teething issues, but I thought those two did all right in that game.
Was that Bolly and Kilman, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. No, I think Bolly and Kilman would be a good partnership. I think Bolly and Saiz were much better. Honestly, I genuinely thought when Cody came off, we looked a lot more solid. Now, whether that had something to do with West Brom sticking 10 men behind the ball, but we did look a lot more comfortable. And obviously, I know Connor Cody is very popular with the Wolves fans. As a person, I like him, really do. He's a great personality, great captain. But I think in a back four, it just doesn't work. I think with Ait-Nouri and Semedo, whilst very good fullbacks, Semedo, again, defensively needs to work on it. And he knows that. He said that in interviews. When they lose the ball, they're so high up that we just get caught so often. And we look... And Nuno's teams have been recognisable because of their shape. You know, this regimented style that is ingrained into the players. That has completely gone this season. I think that shape-wise, we look so lost. There's just no sort of idea defensively, and going forward as well, it's either Neto and Adama or nothing. But I have to say, Fabio Silva was really, really good today. Really
good game. First half, really good. Got himself in a couple of decent positions. Obviously,
Willy Bolly as well.
Yeah,
who knew Willy Bolly was that good going? I tell you what, if you put a compilation of some of Willy Bolly's finishes for Wolves, it's the one against Besiktas as well. He's got like nimble
good
feet.
strikers all from range as well today.
Honestly, I'd stick him as a target man for sure. Stick him as a target man. Come on. Beautiful. I think one of the commentators suggested it. They were like, well, they could play him in the middle of the three, but
good feet.
He's got really good feet and a good finish for a centre back. I don't know how. I guess it's how his passing got to be so good as well, because his passing is it can be really good as well. But yeah, I mean, technically he's brilliant for a centre half.
What a day that would have been.
That back heel attempt, I forgot that was
close as well. Yeah, well, Tom, it's been a pleasure, mate. We'll move on to our next guest now. But enjoy the rest of your weekend, mate, and I'm sure we'll get you back on very soon. We'll speak very soon, mate. Have a good one, man.
Take care,
cheers, buddy. Well, guys, we're moving on to the last sort of 10 minutes or so now. I saw someone ask earlier, is that a Maltese surname? It certainly is. Lots of comments. Look, West Brom game, West Brom showed a lot more fight and a lot more desire than Wolves today, and that's ultimately why they won. We're going to be, there's West Brom fans in the chat. Hello, good evening. If you're sad enough to be in the Wolves chat on a Saturday evening, then I want to know what life you're leading. We're moving on to our last guest and our next guest, Mr. Harry Mansell. Mate, you don't look too happy. What's going on? What's happened today, I wonder?
Dave, mate, I'm just, I'm really upset. Like, I'm in disbelief still. What is it now? 5-8? And I'm still in disbelief of what happened. At half time, mate, I was dancing. I was loving life. I thought we were going to win with ease. And it's an actual disaster. It's a disaster, mate. I just can't believe we've lost to them. It's obviously the stick. I don't know about yourself, mate, but the stick has just been unbearable.
My best mate's a West Brom fan, and he's only sent me one DM.
Really, I couldn't believe it. Like, I was happy with the starting team. I was happy with everything. Fabio Silva, even he played well, and I wanted Catrone to play. And I'm absolutely gutted, mate. Fair play for doing this, because you could have easily not done something like this with the way we, losing like that. It's baffling. And what worries me, Dave, is where do we go from here? Like, I know we've got Chorley and that coming up, but in the league, when you think of the league, are we going to beat Palace? Are we? We defend like kids at the moment, even with Willy Bolly in the team. So I'm in shock still. 5 hours later, whatever it is, 7 hours later, it's just mad.
Look, I mean, you are very much, you would have seen, we had Matt on, and Michael, who were pretty much heavily Nuno out. You've been Nuno in. Whenever I spoke to you for the last number of weeks, you Nuno in. I'm assuming you're in the same camp at the moment. What does he do from here? What does he have to do for Wolverhampton Wanderers to start winning league games again?
I'm a hypocrite, Dave, because I was calling for him to go to a back four a lot, but I saw in his press conference on Friday, he said he was going to go back to a back five, go back to safety first, and he didn't do it against the Albion. But let's go back to a back five. Let's be boring again. Let's hate what we're watching. Let's grind out on 1-0s again. We're going to have to. We're going to have to.
It's better than
We
losing.
can't lose
isn't
to
it?
an Albion. Oh man, like to lose to a team like that. The Albion fans admit themselves they're rubbish, and they've come and scored 3 against us at the Molineux. When was the last time we kept obviously we kept a clean sheet against Palace in the FA Cup, but we concede first nearly every game. It's just another thing, Dave. Just off the game and that, today was the first time it's hit me hard that we couldn't be at the Molineux as well. Today really hit me. Like I was buzzing for the game. For the game, watching the build-up, seeing Steve Bull talk about it, showing all the Ewan Roberts, all the old highlights, and it really hit me today that we're not in Molineux. And honestly, I'm falling out of love with football. Honestly, I've realised the reason I love football is because I love going to the ground, I love having a beer with my mates, and I love watching the game, win or lose. And sitting watching Wolves on telly at the moment is just not doing it for me. I know this result's not helping the emotions and things like that, but we need to get in the ground again because it's getting past a joke now, and it's killing football. Football's a fan sport. Forget BT Sport, forget Sky, forget Amazon Prime. We can't be in the ground. There's no point. We support Wolves. That's why I always fell out with Man United fans, Chelsea fans who never go. We go to watch Wolves in the stands, and if we'd have been in them stands today, we wouldn't have lost that game because we would have pushed that team on. The South Bank would have been rocking. And I feel like we're suffering along with injuries. We're suffering because Nuno's lost the plot a bit. We're also suffering because we ain't got fans behind the team, and it's really annoying me. Like, if we ain't in the ground soon, we might as well cop it off.
Do you think? I mean, there's 2 teams that come to mind, especially from last season. 2 teams that did extremely well, and possibly due to the atmosphere and the fans, and that was Wolves and Sheffield United. Look, fans have left, aren't in the grounds now. Sheffield United have had a disastrous start to the season. Wolves, our form was pretty top notch, going up until lockdown, and then as soon as that happens, we slide down, miss out on European football again, and now we're in this slump at the moment. All right, we're not quite in I wouldn't class it quite as a relegation battle yet, but if things carry on as they are, it looks like it might go that way. Do you think Wolves? I mean, I agree. I think we would have had a much better chance if the fans were there today. But do you think we actually rely that much on the South Bank, on the North Bank, on Molineux and the fans to give us this extra boost? Because Nuno's complaining about it a lot. I think he realises the same thing too.
Yeah, that you've hit the nail on the head, Dave. Nuno's even said it in press conferences. It's true. We've like, how many times have we come from behind in previous seasons? It's the fans cheering them on, but we've got to adapt, haven't we? As Nuno would say, adapt solutions. But it's hard to watch, mate, on telly. I know it's been a while now. I know every team's in the same situation, and I know this is probably a bit of a cop out because we've lost to Albion today. But we're a great fan base at the end of the day. We get behind the team home and away, and I've realised I'm bored of watching football on telly now. I couldn't watch any games today after that. I want to go to the ground and watch it.
I don't watch other games now. I only watch the Wolves games because I think I'd get sick of it quite easily. Yeah. Yeah.
I know. I'm sorry. It's just obviously we love the Wolves and that. I saw Matt. Matt was first on. Obviously, I think that's been bubbling with Matt. Like, obviously, he's got his opinions on Nuno. I completely disagree. Like, I can see why he said. Obviously, his mum's a West Brom fan, jumping around the front room. He said, but Nuno, he's also feeling it too, isn't he? He's also feeling it too. He's down in the dumps. He's got injuries. He can't see his family. I think it's just a bad feeling throughout the squad. And Dave, I couldn't believe it when he took Cody off. He was like a glitch in the Matrix. I was like, what? What was? Can you tell me what happened? Was it because he gave away the penalty? Because I thought the penalty was quite soft. Both penalties, by the way. I thought the first one was outside the box, and I thought Cody. There was the slightest of touches. He knew what he was doing, the player, and I couldn't believe when he took him off. What do you reckon with that? Do you think it was because he was so bad in the back four? Or
I think it was just that. I think he wanted to obviously bring Aït-Nouri on, but I think he knew, with especially in the first half, how he'd been so dangerous from set pieces. He knew Saïss was a lot more physical and a lot more has a lot more quality aerially, I think. So that's why he kept bullying Saïss on and adding Aït-Nouri on. So, I mean, it's a bit of a kick in the teeth for Connor Cody. I think you could tell that when he came off. He looked absolutely livid, didn't he? And I think, as soon as he sat down, he would have been, spitting feathers. Really, I don't think I don't think he was expecting that at all. And I think as fans we were, but it sort of made sense. Unless I'm thinking too much into it, but I think it. For more aerial presence.
I just want to say as well. I just want to say, I thought Dale spoke well, who was on a few times ago, and what Tom said about Cody as well. I've said it for a while. Tom Parker.
Yeah.
About Cody, great leader, great passer of a ball. I still believe he can't defend, especially one-on-one. I've said it all the way through. Even when he got called up for England, even when he scored for England, I'd say it on like the podcast 77 Club and that. And he got back four. He's being found out, isn't he? Let's be honest. At a sweeper, he can get away with it because he's got protection around him. But in a back four, when it's just him and Sace or whoever, yes, he can chat to the people next to him, but his ability at one-on-one defending aerially, or if someone's running at him, he's just not good enough. I know he started off as a centre-back as a kid for Liverpool, then he transitioned to midfield. We signed him as a midfielder. He couldn't get in the team. I don't want to be too harsh on him. I don't want to be, because he's a legend what he's done for us. Brilliant player, but that's the truth. And he's given away that penalty today. Although it was soft, he still give it away. And then he gets subbed off. I'm baffled by that, just thinking about it. And I'm gutted, Dave, because West Brom are crap and we've lost to them at the Molineux. And it's just, if you don't laugh, you'll cry in a situation like this. It's true. Yeah. If you don't laugh, you'll cry. Because it's just absolutely shocking.
Yeah. I mean, it's still been, sort of 5 hours, like you said, since full time, and I don't think the dust has quite settled just yet either, to be honest. I think a lot of fans are still disappointed. I don't think it will for a long, long time. Look, Harry, it's been a pleasure having you on again, as always, mate. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'm sure I'll speak to you very soon, mate. See you soon.
Cheers, Dave. See you in a bit, mate.
See you in a bit, mate. Well, guys, that is final word. Wolverhampton Wanderers 2, West Bromwich Albion 3. Look, guys, the support today has been phenomenal, both on the stream today and on the videos. Look, the comments have been great, and I think it shows this is what football is all about. Different opinions, everyone's got them. Some people want Nuno in, some people want Nuno out, some people want the back four, some people want the back five. Look, don't, like Moldy says, don't watch match of the day in there. Look, at the end of the day, Nuno's here. He's going to do his job. Dale spoke fantastically well earlier on about the mental side of things, really. Nuno hasn't seen his family in how long? I don't think any of us could go to school or go to work and come back after a tough day with absolutely nobody there for a long period of time. That would be so tough. Injuries, possibly lack of funding and lack of backing from the board as well. And it's been a tough old time for Wolves. Disappointing defeat today. Really disappointing defeat today. But we've got Chorley next in the FA Cup. Look, we've got to win that. Surely, guys. Surely. Guys, if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Like I said, the support has been phenomenal. Try and enjoy the rest of your weekend. If you ever want to get involved in the final word or get involved in the fan reactions, at Talking Wolves on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, or at Dave as a party. Like my name on the screen, just without the space. And I'll be sure to get you involved in this sometime in the future. Guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. And actually, I'll be releasing this as a podcast. A lot of people have been asking for this to be released as a podcast. So I'll catch you all very, very soon and we'll get that out. Thank you.